Hit the button. There we go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the family card table. This game is all about the win-win-wins, those solutions where we all see ourselves true. And there's a couple of rules, and it's one main one, really. Everything on the table. No under the table stuff. We want to play cards transparently and honestly and tell you about how this family came together and what we've created so far. So welcome to the first live of the family card table. This has truly been an alchemy. This has happened so timely and divinely. There's been an enormous amount of are you in? Here we go. It's on. And so it's been really fun. And it has a story that we're going to share with you. We're waiting for our other partner, Rob Stewart. And we have Gina here from Guided by the Cards and Donna, who does parenting with cardology. And my name is Madeline, aka Gerwisha, the soul's gardener who wants to help us grow out of the funk and into the clarity of who we are when we live in emotional sovereignty and shine like stars. You know, those rhymes made a lot of sense to me, so I repeated them endlessly. And it's happening. And I'm excited to be part of this family table alchemy. So welcome. So we're going to have a certain set of things that will happen in the show. And since it's our first, you'll kind of have to follow the flow. We've created a way that we're going to show and talk about the alchemy we notice in the cards with a reading. We're going to share who we are and why we're here and what started all of this. And then we're going to build from it. So first and foremost, I want to invite you to this table and who's here. So Gina and Donna, maybe we can sort of check in and share a little bit about what brings us here and maybe start to tell our story as Rob comes in. Welcome, Rob.
Hey, back. I'm back.
Rob is an evolutionary astrologer, and I guess I'll have to be the intro lady because I'm a king of diamonds in the cards, and I have a king of hearts that I play. And so my character just attracts the most amazing energy. Like, I'm so lucky, like the coolest people like me. You know, and I don't even have to do much because of my energy. But I also really like when I click with somebody and they make sense to me. And I love to learn. I just think learning's why we're here. Like, why not, right? So I was learning so much in the card rooms, and Rob came early on like me. And the first time I heard his voice, I was like, oh, I want to know more about who he is and why he's here. I'm really drawn to that person and his voice and his frequency. He was goofy and silly, so it made it even more fun for me. So then there's Gina, who came into the cards not knowing how amazing she was, and I got to watch her become super cool at something she loves so much. And I was like, go Gina. It was just so fun, you know, and she's grown into such wisdom. You know, she teaches the cards now and stuff, and she was in the clubhouse as well. And that all started with that 2020 COVID where your world got real small and your ears got bigger, and Clubhouse was having conversations with everybody about everything. And a bunch of us landed in the cards. And as many of you know, Rashad and Gina and I do a Sunday night show, was the mornings before, where we talk about the energy of the week, because there really is a way that we're all in something together. It's been fascinating. All of the weeks are there in the backlog, and there's more to come. And then as we were doing that, I really wanted this to meet families. I was like, this has got to get to families. And Donna just keeps popping up on IG, and she's just saying all this really smart stuff. And one day Rashad and I are talking. I was like, I think I'm going to reach out to her. I feel like I'm supposed to connect to Donna. And it was at that time in January. And I don't speak wisely when I try to attempt to speak about astrology, but maybe when Rob shares and Donna too, there was an astrological timing that was happening when Donna and I connected. Like, our missions started to align. And our combination card is a Queen of Hearts. So we got that mother thing, and I'm shedding my mother. You know, I'm done being a mother. I'm growing into the gifts that came from the classroom that was mine. And I got a lot of classroom. And I'm so excited to shed, but it's nice to be in the nurturing energy of another mother who has a similar head. And Jean is like that too. And, you know, so this has just been so much fun because As you'll learn, we have a Jack, Queen, and King and a Five of Hearts. And since I started the cards, I kept saying, got to get the Jack, Queen, and King to work together better and deal with the changes. And then I was just saying it, and now it happens. So that's really the invitation to the concept of how it came to be. And these are the people that joined this table because so much was ready to grow from every single one of them. So that's kind of what I want to say about who I am at the family card table. I welcomed the cards and they took over a lot of my thoughts. And eventually I just couldn't help but notice how they were influencing me. And now I'm so excited to share more of it with you and your family. So I hear somebody's microphone making sounds. So I'm going to say, if you're not speaking, to turn it off, like I will mine. And I want to pass the conversation to whoever feels they want to go next. And I can intuit that if you'd like. And and we'll build from there. And I guess I'm asking you to share about coming to this table and inviting people to know more about what we're doing. Sound good? All right, so then I'm going to pass it to Donna. And Donna, then you can go to Rob, and then Gina will do it like that. We'll kind of go flow as mine looks like that. So we'll see. Go ahead.
Great. Thanks, Garisha. So I consider myself a cardologer, an author. I'm a mom. I'm an educator. I spent over 20 years teaching kids at the middle school level, which is quite challenging, as you can well imagine. I've taught inner city kids. I've taught in the suburbs. So I've collected a lot of experience doing that. And the way that the cards found me is that I had just finished up a really difficult teaching year. And it was the beginning of the summer. School was out. And I was in a New Age bookstore in Houston, Texas. And I was just searching for tools, something to help me understand my students better, meet their needs. And I came across a book that described cardology, which is the study of the ancient science of playing cards. And I read the description of my card. I'm a Queen of Club, and really resonated with the personality description of that card, how being a Queen of Club, I'm here to serve through communication and knowledge. Of course, being a teacher, I do that a whole lot. And I was just, encouraged to buy the book and start applying it to understanding my students better. And I was shocked and amazed at how accurate the system was. And I used this knowledge of the cards to not only understand my students better, but to help navigate situations in the classroom, whether they were strategies to, better reach them academically, or to deal with disciplinary situations, or just basically how to understand and communicate better with them. And it made me a better teacher. So I continued to use this knowledge and apply it in my teaching. And then when COVID hit, I just felt this real strong need to share this knowledge with others, that I had used it to the extent that it made me a better person, and I wanted to share this with other people. And so I transitioned into becoming a cardologer, but there was one little piece missing, which was working with families, working with children. So I think that's why I'm here at this table right now, is because I have this passion to apply the wisdom of these cards to help us with our own self-awareness and how to better navigate the closest relationships that we have, which is our family. So, Rob, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Well, I just want to say, Donna, it was such a great synchronicity to recognize how one thing needed something and another thing needed another thing, and those energies found their way together. Do you know, like that to me is a real normal thing. It happens pretty magically all the time. It's nice to take note of it. And that we were both from Jersey and had such a similar way that we could communicate and learn each other. You know, all those things are part of what creates the frequency. So I'm really glad you've done that work. And thank you for thinking of kids that way as relationships, and even the cards. You know, sometimes when I think of a card, I think of the judgment of the card instead of how to relate to the card. And I like the way you really bring that consciousness in of how do we relate to that energy, not reject that energy or try to control it or blame it or shame it. How do I connect to that energy? Right?
Yeah,
Even
acceptance of that energy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Donna. Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, hey everybody. So basically, I consider myself a coach. It's basically what I do with folks. I use the tools of hypnosis and astrology to really help people focus, have more clarity, and whatever it is they want to achieve in life. And I've been practicing astrology for quite a while, using evolutionary astrology, and it's an amazing system to help get a sense of why we're wired the way we're wired. And to me, cardology, I discovered cardology in 2019, and it's such a powerful system. I mean, it's compact. It's very, from my perspective, very accurate. And it's a wonderful approach to, just like astrology is, to really dial in on, what are some of the old limiting thinking that we have. And in my perspective, every challenge in life, every difficulty is rooted in perception. And, I do hypnosis work with people, but what I do is really helping people dehypnotize themselves from their own limiting thinking. And the cards and astrology is a wonderful way for those that are interested in these types of modalities to gain more insight and more perspective and self-inquiry and self-awareness. So I've been using these tools for a long time, and met Grawisha during COVID and Gina during this on this app, Clubhouse. I'm sure some of the people tuning in might be part of that community in some way. But a few months ago, we got together and decided to kind of combine these different perspectives and different ways to use the cards, and really excited to be part of this. So thanks a lot, and I'll hand it over to Gina.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Gina, and I remember the first time I came across a post on Instagram, and I was floored at how just by my birthday, something could have such a strong understanding of me. And I was like, I have to know more. And that's where it all started. I dove in. I've become obsessed, and I would read all the posts and want to know as much as I could. And it was just fascinating that they didn't need, like with astrology, the birth time, the location is key. But with this system, with the cards, it was just based on my birthday. And I was just like, how do you know so much about me just based on that day? And it floored me. So it really opened up a whole nother world for me. And I'm so grateful that and it wasn't by accident. I know I was led there for all these reasons. And then, I started to really study. I actually took a course with that same post from Aquarius Maximus, and, really dove in and have been literally eating, breathing, living these cards every day since then, because it's such a vast system that can really expand your knowledge about yourself, most importantly, And then it goes beyond that, right? If you have children, your parents, your family, it really does help you to have a better understanding of the individuals in your life, your family dynamics. A lot of people have heard me on Clubhouse. I've talked a lot about my kids and how much these cards have helped me understand them, understand me, parenting them, our composites together, the energy that we create together. And it's probably been the best tool that has helped me to help my kids. And I think that if you can take anything from it, there's nothing, it's priceless, honestly. And I've always jokingly said I've saved thousands of dollars in therapy because of these cards, right? Having a better understanding of myself, I think is probably one of the best things you can do for yourself. And so these cards coming into my life changed my life. And now I do the same thing. I help people, I coach people. And it's beyond the readings. It's really about giving people peace and giving people understanding, and just helping, guiding them with the energy that they may be, dealing with. And there's certain times in our life that where we have, more challenging placements, and just being aware of that really does help you, what I call, lean into the energy rather than resist it. And I think when we live a life less resistance, there's a lot more peace that we can have. And so these cards have really done a 180 on my whole life and how I look at life, how I look at people, how I, and being the card that I am, the Jack of Hearts, I know my purpose is to initiate others, to bring forth this energy of love and healing. And these cards are a beautiful tool to kind of, operate from my genuine self when I can help people, love themselves more because they have a better understanding of their energy. And it's a gift to be able to really, and a blessing to really be able to serve, because I think that's what we're all here to do, is to serve. And we want to help others because we've seen what these cards can do for us. We see, Donna has seen what they can do with kids in a classroom. And I've seen what it can do with my own family, my own children. And so I'd love to be able to kind of come and help as many people that are willing to kind of do, but you got to do the work. That's one thing with these cards, is you have to be able to really look at yourself and do the work. And, and when I say that, it really is just understanding your energy and your placements and how to really navigate it. So these cards are a beautiful system. And then combining the astrology makes it even better. To really just have a better understanding. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm glad we all have connected. And it wasn't by accident. We're all led to do this work together. So it's a beautiful dynamic.
I was laughing when you said you got to do the work. You got to do the work. The reason you got to do the work is so that you're not a jerk. Like, it's that simple, right? Because we all create personalities that are low-grade defense systems. So part of what we need to do is accept ourselves too. Like Donna said, we've got to accept the other, but we also got to accept ourselves and soften enough so that when we do the work, meaning communicate our true needs and be authentic, we're not jabbing and kicking at the same time, right? Because usually people are communicating with behavior. Sometimes people have no idea how to stop some of the crazy stuff they do, right?
Yeah. I want to add something there too. One thing that I learned in being a teacher is if I was in a situation with a parent or parents where I was discussing their child's negative behavior, that they took it really personally. Because I think as parents, they tend to kind of see their children's behavior as a reflection of themselves. And so they were really embarrassed when I was explaining these negative behaviors. But what cardology has taught me is that you can't take their behaviors personally. They're just acting out their card energy. So as an example, I have a really good friend who's an attorney, and she's very proper and conservative, and her child got in trouble at school for going against the authority of a teacher and contradicting that teacher. And her son that did this is a king of club. And so I had to explain that to her, that, well, that doesn't surprise me. Don't take that personally. He's just acting out his king of club personality. And that really helped her. as Gina said, this gives like peace of mind. And that's like one thing the system can do is to help parents understand that they can't take things personally, that this is just, the nature of their children and of the learning in the real world.
Yeah. So I wonder if this isn't a nice transition to doing a little card energy, right? Like maybe shuffling the cards, because we're touching on the essence of what this is, right? Like we all tend to get ideas of ourselves that we're trying to make true. And then our kids are like mini me's or like an extension of the idea of me. But in truth, they're lights that are meant to shine bright by being reflected kindly, right? And not having our projections onto them. So it might be an interesting time to shuffle the cards and see what it is that we can consider when it comes to what's happening in those relationships. Because as long as we're pushing our disowned parts onto our children, we're making their hearts heavy in a way that it's hard for their truth to come through.
Yeah, and I just want to say, in addition to what you just both of you just said, is that inherent in this perspective, of course, is the idea that as a soul, we're born into this world, into the school of life, and that there's many perspectives, of course, with this, but that my perspective is that we've lived past lifetimes, and that we've grown and evolved over time, and that anyone that looks into the eyes of a newborn child, they're not a blank slate. And so you come in here with some energy and journeys and like all, everything. My perspective is that we come in with a specific curriculum and to learn, to grow and evolve. And cardology is a wonderful approach to really get some information on what that time of birth, because of course, again, from my perspective, I always say that because I don't for a moment mean to suggest this is the way it is, because who knows, but it's the best perspective of that. It's where I'm at with all this, is that there's no mistake. That time that you're born, that place you're born, in the day, it speaks to a specific type of journey. And it also speaks to perhaps how you might be wired. And you can put this to test yourself. There's a lot of information we're going to be providing, not only in this podcast, but in the packets of information. So please visit our website, thefamilycardtable.com. It's up and running today, and there's some free packet of information. You can get some information based on your birthday. And you can put all this to test. And I think that's a really important thing to note, is that, we're not here providing dogma and this sort of thing. Please test it. Please test it for yourself, everyone and see if it holds water for you. And but again, that's kind of the overarching perspective here, that moment of birth speaks to this type of journey, and the card system is a peeking into that sort of thing.
Great language, Rob. Really appreciate that. And Rob worked really hard on that website. It's rather styling. I'm not sure yet on this form how to put it up in front of you, but I wish I could. Be sure to check out the packages. We're literally asking you to kind of walk yourself through an understanding of yourself from a seed to an adult tree. And we're using the elements and the understanding of this nature-based philosophy, because that's really what makes us all the same. Right? We can say all the different things about our race and our color and our religion too, but our connection to all these things that are around us and how we relate to our own, emotional intensity or need for breath or any of those things, they play out in how you play your card. So that's great stuff. I appreciate how you said that. Anything else on the opening to who we are and how we got here before we go to the weekly card reading to see what comes up in regards to how we're explaining alchemy to families and the use of card energy?
And I think just real quick, that this card energy, right, that you'll be drawing. I mean, the card system, cardology itself is a mathematical numerological system. But in a moment here, we're going to be drawing some cards and speaking to them in that context. So anyways, but take it away, Donna.
Also a way that the cards go back to the gypsies, right? And then I was a girl in Brooklyn, and I would go for a reading at the little fair. There was no tarot cards there. There was a woman with a deck of cards, and she was turning them over, and she was talking to you. So there's definitely a numerology understanding and a energy that comes with different cards, you know, that is just like the decks of cards. They're built off of the same thing. Who came first? I don't know. But as you'll see in our website, the cards add up to the days that we have in our year. You know, they're done in suits like seasons, you know, so there's something in there to unlock. So the reason we're playing this spread or this conversation about what comes out is that's how your intuition works. Part of what's going to help you grow somebody that's not a jerk is to have a connection to your intuition, like to the way that you really feel, so that you can express it to help whatever the dissonance is heal. So sometimes pulling cards or doing something like that, it's a way to connect to the part of you that you don't always know how to connect to. So because we've come together kind of magically, we're saying to the cards, you got anything you want us to talk about to the families? Is there anything we can do to help people understand this way that parents and children work and how they could get along better and have a better feeling of safety in their families? But yes, Rob, yes to what you're saying too. But you know what I mean? Like the cards have been played with that way. In my experience, I didn't even know what the lady was doing, but I remember the old Italian lady with the cards.
All right, so we're going to do our weekly card pool. So this will just show how the cards can provide insights to family dynamics. And so I'm going to be shuffling this deck of cards. Consider this our school or the school curriculum, if you will. And so I'm going to invite the wisdom of these cards to be our teacher and reveal to us what we're to learn today. So I'm going to shuffle them with that intention. And then I'm going to pull 3 cards randomly. And the first card I pull will represent the card energy of a mother. So the first card that I get is the 9 of Spades. The second card that I'm going to pull is going to represent the card energy of a father. So that's a 2 of clubs. And then the third card I'm going to pull is going to be the card energy of a child. And that card will be a 9 of hearts. Ah, that's an interesting one, right?
Cool. What happens is sometimes it's like one of the kids is the card, but a different suit of the parent. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, I've seen that pattern a whole lot. So right away, I'm gonna, of course, being the teacher, I'm leaning into saying a couple things about this 9 of hearts child. So a 9 of hearts child, being a heart card, is just highly sensitive. And 9s are all here to give. So the card energy of this child is just a real people pleaser energy, a very giving child, sensitive to how they're thought of by other people. So like even susceptible to some peer pressure, if you will. So now I'd like others to kind of jump in and kind of talk about any of these cards and how they might interact with each other.
But I think you said the first one was the 9 of Spades, right? And
yes,
so
that's
the mother. So, you know, and there can be, you know, very giving and sharing with that energy. 9 of Spades is a very powerful card. Right. And they're very humanitarian. You know, the 9 of Spades, it represents completions and fulfillment. So And so a lot of times for a lot of people, becoming a mother is a fulfillment, right? And it kind of is, you know, a card of where, you know, you leave one way of life and you enter another way of life, right? So becoming a mother is leaving one way behind and entering a new chapter of your life. So I can see that the Nine of Spades, you know, brings forth, you know, again, that giving. I think the biggest thing with those nines too, especially for moms, is, you know, the boundaries and being able to say no. You know, I think that's kind of key, and doing it without the guilt that may come along with that, right? Yes, we're supposed to give to our children, no doubt about it, but at the same time, it can, you know, there has to be some boundaries, because but you hear a lot, you know, the mother is exhausted, the mother has overdone and overgiven, and so sometimes there is that lack of boundaries that can happen with that energy. So learning boundaries, learning how to say no, um you know, when a time calls for it, and not feeling guilty for it, but also at the same time very giving. It's universal energy, so there's this essence of wanting to share and wanting to give. And you know, the nines can be they're very big energies, and so this can be big over the top, but it's giving from a space, you know, of wanting to help, wanting to serve in some way, you know. And then the Two of Clubs is the father, right? That's the second one that came out.
Yes.
So the partnering and the communicating and the sharing, you know, the dad sometimes can be, you know, a protective energy, right? You know, and father is this you know, an energy of like leading. And I can kind of see that with the Two of Clubs too, because I know it transforms to the King of Spades, the ultimate king. So there's this powerful energy that comes with that Two of Clubs. But it is about the communications and really, you know, being able to express yourself, and your kids being able to express themselves to you as well, and being open to what they have to say, I think is really key in these dynamics, especially when we're talking about these cards and understanding these cards. Because, you know, when you know your child's card and you know that they have a certain, you know, Mercury card, how they communicate, and when you're aware of that, you have, you know, I think there's a good, with that Two of Clubs, is really opening the dialogue, opening up those avenues of communications is really beneficial for family dynamics, right?
And I like the idea that when you share a card, like the mom has the Nine of Spades, right? So that mom, like you guys said, all those things are true. And there's like a classroom for that mom too, right? So there's a way that how does she make boundaries? How does she deal with her sensitivity? And she might not be as sensitive. She might end up being a little bit more of like someone who can just push herself because she's a spade, you know what I mean? And her Nine of Hearts may not have that same kind of drive and push for any idea or perfection, right? So they're going to have a classroom together where that mom is going to need to soften into the sensitivity of that Nine of Hearts, and that Nine of Hearts can learn a lot about how that Nine of Spades plays its card. But they have to have a mutual respectful relationship for that exchange to happen, right? Because if there's a battle between the strong energy, like you said, nines are no joke. They're strong people. Like, they're here for it. You know what I mean? Like, and they will overgive, and they will get really hurt and mad when it doesn't come back.
I think that's a really good point, Croatia, that the Nine of Spade mom really needs to consider the fact that that Nine of Heart child would need to have like emotional affirmation of where they are emotionally before they can fix things or problem solve. Whereas the Nine of Spade mother might just want to just directly like go at it. Let's solve this. Let's hit it head on and solve the problem, and skip over the emotional needs of that child.
And the father, as a Two of Clubs, what would seem to me the tendency would be to take sides and to see it both ways, and to keep the connection with the other, and to almost be a tension maker instead of a bridge. So I think what Gina said about being able to let all parts be heard and stay kind of, you know, neutral and open, and not necessarily engaged in like trying to keep everybody, you know, connected to them or in their same thought.
Yeah, and you know, one other thought about the nines. You know, whenever see nines, oftentimes, you know, they've been around the block a few times in terms of life and experiences. And of course, from my perspective, we've all been around the block many, many times, of course. But what I find with nines is that there's always something, perhaps something to let go, let God, you know, the serenity prayer, you know, and I always notoriously like slaughter this this quote of this prayer, but it's like,
I know it really good.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
That's it. Yeah. And I think with any 9, I think that's a really powerful journey. It's part of the journey is about navigating that balance and what can you change, what can you not, and to let go. To, you know, 9s are on a precipice of graduation and new beginning, and of course everyone is, but energetically in the cards, there's that, and then and I don't know if we want to talk about the composite energies at all, but of course, you know, when you take 2 cards, or if you take 2 colors, yellow and blue, the combination is green. And so with each of these family members, this system, not only is it helpful and insightful with regards to individual energies, but also the combined energies. And for instance, the 2 of clubs and the 9 of hearts together, they form the Jack of clubs. And so the interaction dynamic between them 2, I would imagine that there can be some debating, some jarring, some communication breakdowns to be mindful of. And of course, this is an interesting family draw, and I love this idea for the show, where, you know, Donna drew 3 cards, one representing a father, a birthday of a father, one representing a birthday of a mother and a child. And, you know, with those composite energies, for the 2 of clubs and the 9 of hearts, there's a real communication is a major one, I would imagine.
And their whole composite is the 7 of clubs. So it's all about their shared conversation and their faith in that what we speak becomes true, like the value of your words and your expression too. Really, very good point.
And so what they're speaking on is the composites is like you take your birth card and another birth card and you add the solar value together, and that gives you another card. And actually, when we do the 4 of us here, it equals the 2 of diamonds. And so that is about coming together and building something, you know, a value, partnerships, you know, business, you know, lots of meetings is what we've had leading up to this point. So we definitely were enacting that 2 of diamonds. So that's just another like avenue of really being able to understand you and another person's energy together. It's definitely something I've used with me and my children. That's probably been the most pivotal thing of understanding the composite I have with each of each child I have, and really, you know, seeing that literally play out in real life, and seeing the highs and the lows of the composite, and really being able to view that energy and use it to its highest, because I have lived the lowest of it and I've seen the highest of it. And obviously it's work to, you know, because it's 2 people working together, or in any family, however many people, your energy produces a card. And knowing that is also very beneficial, because you really can see the dynamic of your family. And even like that card that it produces, what are you to that card? Right? And what is that card to the other person or whatever? So there's so many different ways to kind of unpack this stuff. And that's what we're here to do, is to really dive into it and look at it from different angles and different perspectives, to kind of give these tools and these keys of helping others, you know, make those family dynamics make sense. And how can you alchemize that energy and work to operate from the highest expression of the composite cards that you have with you and your family members.
Yeah, and let's just remind everybody. So I remember hearing those kind of things in the clubhouse room like 4 or 5 years ago, my brain feeling like it was noodles and like, what the heck is she talking about, you know? So part of this whole project is not just us coming and talking on Friday nights. There's these packages, and in them, you can learn your composite card. You'll get a report about your card. Like, we've made it so you can kind of digest it and take the curriculum of the life path. You know, Donna could speak about the 52 life paths. So there's 52 cards, you know. So there's ways that this alchemy is upon us. And the more information we figure we have between us, and we play everything on the table and not underneath to make sure I'm more special than somebody, then we're going to have a lot more to play with in regards to what's important in our families and the shared values that might come. So if you want to learn more about that stuff, check out the packages on the website, because it does bring a lot of what we're talking about to light. But I think that's really fun. I could really enjoy listening to that. I like the idea that there's no people with the cards too. It's really awesome, because when I do talk to families, I do start to sense how they're meeting each other and not meeting each other. But I had no idea to use cards. But now that I've added the cards and I see the energies, I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what I was sensing. But now I can get why. And I can help give more information about and talk the way they might be able to hear it, to understand the value of like self-acceptance and awareness, and not being mad at being different than what you decided you were supposed to be. Right?
Yeah, I'd like to give an example of the family composite card, because this is something that recently happened to me with my son. So I actually was a science teacher, so I look at the composite card to be like a chemical reaction, where you're combining two different substances chemically, and then it creates a new substance. So that's how I look at this family composite card. So it's important to identify that card and its meaning. So when I take the composite energies of my son and I raised him as a single mom, so it was just us as a family for many years. The card I get is a 4 of diamond. And the 4 of diamond is all about stability in values and money, routine, structure. And my son's card is a 5 of heart. And so he's all about adventure. So knowing those things, I got in the habit of creating routines of doing family adventures. And one of the things that my son and I love to do as a routine on holidays is to go hike. And as we all know, yesterday was 4th of July. So what did my son and I do yesterday all day long? We went on a hike, because that's our routine. And that is like a positive expression of our family composite card energy.
That's dope, because you're sticking to something, and that's the 4 of diamonds, right? You know what I mean? It's committing to it and sticking to it and keeping that. What's the word I'm looking for? There's a really specific word. It's not ritual.
Accountability.
No.
Routine, consistency.
No.
Schedule?
Like it's something what people do like on the holidays. It's like it's a I can't. It's not coming.
Tradition.
From me, but yes. Thank
Tradition.
you. I don't know
Or
why.
it's like tradition.
Come to me. So like, and that's kind of that so that's dope. And I think, isn't the 4 of diamonds a challenging karma card to the 5 of hearts?
It is.
So you're really, so you can go even deeper, right? And that for him, that being that means him sticking to routines, him committing to something is a challenge sometimes for that 5 energy. So you helping him really like enact that card and really embrace that energy. So as he grows, because as we know, our challenging karma card is a card that we're supposed to kind of really, welcome, and it seems unfamiliar. So that's so dope, because you really have, at a probably very young age, helped him understand what committing to something and sticking to something and building off something and the importance of that, and creating a tradition not only for you and him, but as he goes on, maybe with his family as he gets older, that's something that he would probably maybe do as well and stick with that energy. So that's really dope.
Yeah, and I picked something I knew he would enjoy.
Yeah.
Rather than me coming up with something that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, parents are great for that. I've tried to rope my kids into a lot of stuff. What do you think, Rob, as a 5 of hearts? What do you think about what they're saying?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great example of the insight and the help that this system can provide. So yeah, I think that's cardology in action, or whatever you want to say with that. And I just want to let's see. We had a comment from Jurlis saying, "How did you find the cards?" And I just real briefly. I mean, there's many. I'm sure we all found them in different ways, but there's a lot of resources out there. And my opinion is that our resource here is it's the best central place to learn them and understand them all. But it is an ancient, as the story goes, that it is an ancient system, that it's been around for a long, long time. The first recorded book in this was written in if I remember correctly, the late 1800s, I believe, by a person in Ohio. And so there's been many lines of study with this system, but it's a remarkable system. And Groisha mentioned it earlier, but there's 52 weeks in a year, there's 52 cards in the deck. There's if you count up all the pips in a deck, an ace being 1, a king being 13, you count up all the unique pips in the deck, you get 364, plus one joker is 365, plus the other joker is 366. And there's 13 cards in a suit. There's 13 moon cycles a year. There's 4 seasons. There's 4 suits. There's remarkable coincidences with the calendar. And that's just scratching the surface, because once you learn the system, not only does it speak to the types of energies based on your birthday, but it also speaks to the unfolding of energies and the unfolding of timings of different themes and growth opportunities in life. And so in the show, we're going to be sort of unpacking all that and diving into all of that. So yeah, I just wanted to mention the comment there. It will be an interactive show, but with structure. And that's what we have Groisha here for. So Groisha, back to you.
Thanks so much. Isn't that funny? I'm doing structure. Anyway, so what I was thinking is we want to persist in our plan. And what we want to offer next is the way there's patterns. And I think we've already touched on some of the patterns, but does anyone else feel like there's any patterns we want to reveal? Like, I know I mentioned the parents sometimes being the same card in different suits, that can often happen. And it brings a certain kind of mirroring. Maybe I want to talk about how all the patterns seem to have something to do with like a mirroring, or literally like a shared projection. Like, well, I'm this way because you're that way. Well, I'm this way because you're that way. So that's where we stay. Do you know, like, I feel like that kind of stuff can happen, but the pattern is intended to actually be, what's the bump, what's the rub, what's the middle, what's the truth, and not what can my will do that your will can't do, or vice versa. Like, it's very much about harnessing our will, like the reins of a horse, doing the work in these kind of things. If you're going to go into this awareness portal, we're asking you to really pay attention to your patterns and find out just how programmed you are by the energy, because regardless of the energy and the personality, we still have this will and this consciousness that we're able to use together consciously and evolutionary, however you would say that one. So what do you all feel about any patterns we might want to reveal before we share anything more about our own alchemy?
Well, I think, just looking at what today is, right? We can share that we actually were supposed to launch a couple days ago, right? Mm-hmm. And just due to some, getting the bumps smoothed out, we, had to redo it to today, which is a 10 of diamonds day. And so kind of going back what Rob was talking about with these cards, every day is a card, right? And so today is a 10 of diamonds day. Tomorrow will be a 9 of diamonds day. The next day, 8 of diamonds day, and so on and so forth. Every month has a card attached to it too. July is a Queen of Clubs month. So these are just little insights to know, and you'll see the patterns of that as well. But it's also a new moon, so it kind of worked out that we would do it today, a new thing. Also, the weeks have an energy, an Ace of Diamonds week this week, so launching something new. So we even are aligned in the energy that we chose to when to start this, when to launch this. And when you get into this space, you start to see that it really, everything is actually lining up for you. Sometimes we tend to resist the energy. And that's one thing I will say about these cards. When you really are in this space, you see that they're actually working for you. It's you sometimes that are going against the energy. And when you stop resisting and you just allow, things start to flow. And that's one thing about the what I've noticed. And then when it comes to like the patterns and the cycles, you'll see certain cards travel together. I'm really big on researching the families and the cards each, that they are. And I start to see, so you'll see like the 8 of diamonds and the 4 of clubs, mother, daughter, daughter, mother, like there's like something with that. I've seen where a lot of times too, the mother and the daughter are the same exact card, different birthday, right? I've also seen where like your siblings are your Saturn card, or your partner is your challenging karma card, or for me and my own children's, I am my oldest daughter's Jupiter card and my youngest daughter's reward card. So it's just good to know like where you kind of are within your own family dynamics, and how that plays out. And I think the patterns that you see, with these cards is something that as the more you're in this space, the more you can't even like deny it. Like you're like, oh my God, it's it becomes so apparent that they're working for you, not against you. And when you're really leaning into that energy, you see that everything is kind of aligning as it should. And I think again, that is what brings a lot of the peace that these cards can bring you, because you start to see like, oh, this is exactly what was supposed to happen. And for today being a 10 of diamonds day, this card sits Jupiter, so it does have a big energy to it. It can, like a stage, and here we are on a stage, if you will, kind of, with the group setting and sharing information and bringing forth something that has changed all of our lives. And, I think it's pretty aligned.
And then for me, when that kind of clarity comes as you go down the bumps and you recognize where you land, to me, that's the freedom of like, it's happening the way it needs to happen. You need to really just let it happen. There's something smarter than me. I need to stay in the acceptance and the flow. Like, this is not something against me. That victim consciousness is a really, easy energy to fall into and get friends with. And sometimes it's not necessarily the one that grows the shiniest parts of us, right? So giving up complaining when I was moving here has been helpful, but it's interesting how it wants to come back sometimes because it misses its friends. So I would say try to make friends without complaining, because sometimes that just keeps you in ruts, So yeah, wonderful. It's all true. I wanted to just welcome everybody to come in all the time, like on these Fridays, to remember that we're going to be here, and the website's going to get more information stirring in your family. And then we're also going to start like classes with families and do things where we're going to let it talk. We're going to let it tell us, just like we're saying you do with a child. Like, to start to look at this and tell it what to do would be like telling your kid how to be. You wouldn't tell a plant how to grow, right? You'd watch it grow and you'd learn what it needed. And that's what we need to do with our kids. We have to learn them and find out what they need and provide it and teach them what we need, because they only want us to be happy, right? They're kids. That's a big part of why they do and don't do everything. It's because they want to make their parents happy, right? So that's about what we had prepared. Is there anything more anybody wants to share in regards to how this was initiated, our own alchemy, anything else that we want to bring into the awareness of our guests?
I mean, one quick astrology note that
Yeah, I would love to hear
regarding the new moon. I don't know if this is the right time for it, but
the perfect time. Yeah, the astrology part was where I was going to go if there was nothing else. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so I mean, astrology is another tool. There's many of these tools that help understand, break down, and understand for self-insight, self-awareness, and using archetypes for understanding. And so today, July 5th, happy Independence Day, everybody, or happy July 4th. But today's July 5th, and there's a new moon today. And basically the energies of a new moon are a new beginning. And it's a great time for intentions and for planting seeds. And in the sign of Cancer, it's a time for a couple of things. One of which is to create a safe environment, protective environment, a nice shell for protection and safety and belonging and security, and to grow within that shell, and then throw that shell away and grow a bigger shell, and then safely and comfortably grow in that shell. And that's sort of the evolutionary approach with the sign of Cancer, of creating a safe place to feel your feelings, creating a safe place for belonging and comfort, but also growing within that safety and that space and that environment. And I think this show is a perfect example of that, of creating community, creating belonging, and planting this sort of new seed for growth and expansion. And with every new moon, in 6 months, there's fruition. And at that point, you take a look around, see what's happening regarding that intention you made 6 months ago. So on the full moon, which will be sometime in December, in the sign of Cancer, December or January. I should have looked before talking about all this stuff. But this is the way to work with moons in astrology. And today, even this weekend, is a great time to start making intentions for creating safety, belonging, and feeling those feelings unapologetically. So if there's anything you want to share on that, but that's what I had.
Anybody want to share on Rob's reflection of this new moon? So the card table is a place for clarity, and it's a place to learn about yourself and to see how you play the card. And it's also a place where we all share a balanced investment and energy in it, right? It's for sure, this project is a win-win-win-win. Nobody is suffering in this project. We're not thriving on anybody losing. We're seeing how this grows everyone in an abundant way. So in the name of it being a new moon, I intend to stay clear and to do what I say I'm going to do to support this project to grow, and to listen and learn what it knows, right? Because when something happens that you make an intention for, like, it's something that I do take more seriously than I used to, because sometimes you'd manifest these things. You're like, what the heck did I manifest? Why was I focusing on that so much, right? So whatever you focus on really grows, right? So in this time, I offer the stage to any of those at the table to share our intention for this as we release tonight, and see you again next week at 5.
I just want to, it just hit me, like, how dope is it that we're doing this? It's a new moon in Cancer, which is the 4th house, which is the house of family. And here we are at the family card table. So when we talk about how these energies and these cards really do line up, it'll blow your mind. Like, it really is. So, and Cancer is nurturing those connections and the roots, and even ancestral too, when you talk about 4th house, right? And I've talked about how these cards have helped within my own family dynamics, and really just having a better understanding of the people in my family, because I know their cards, and you're able to kind of, like you said, remove the person and just see the energy, right? And so as we go into this new moon, look at it, it really does help to kind of look at the home that you have, that you've built, and really appreciate the energy that's there, because it is, like Rob said, it's kind of like what you came here for, and your mission here, your soul's purpose. And that's one thing these cards will really show you. And so as we go into this new moon, set those intentions of what you want to grow. What is it that you're really trying to grow within, not just your, within yourself, but then it branches out to the family as well. So it's a good time to kind of, lay those intentions down and really, build from them. And I think we really nailed it with this, with this family card table on a Cancer new moon. So I love it.
This vision came in 2017, right? So I understood that this was part of what was going to grow. And I did say prayers. And what I do sometimes when I get into those download prayers that might come from whatever part of me sometimes is smarter than the rest, I record it so I can hear it, but then I forget that it's there. So this was preparing me. Like this 7-year cycle I've been in was bringing me to here. And so the way that I was able to be part of how it happened was my intuition. Like I really have to stand in acknowledgement to the value of being connected to your intuition. Because you all know, they know more about the cards than me. You're not going to come to me like the expert. But when it comes to energy and feeling how things work together, I got game. I'm paying attention for a long time about that stuff. So I can see the energies, and I can see how there's a great value in emotional sovereignty, because the entanglement of you have to make me okay, or you're my crutch, or I need your approval, those are only going to weaken our potential to be in our highest essence, presence, whatever you want to call it, right? So I just really want to call that part of this coming to our website and looking at these things is connecting to that stillness in you, connecting to that part that's like, I'm going to go left and go over to that coffee shop and see what's going on, and then run into that person who tells you about the next thing that's going to happen. It's a really beautiful journey when you let it happen. You don't try to control it, and you trust that it's happening for you. Right? Everything wants to see us grow. The only thing that doesn't is the part that thinks we're doing it wrong. And I learned a while ago, you can't mess it up. All that shit's in your head. All that stuff is in your head. You can't mess it up. So yeah, this is wonderful. What a great spot. Thank you, everybody. This is wonderful. Please leave questions and comments down below. Subscribe, go to the website. We're having a party. There's discounts. We did it cheaper to start. Like, we really want people to see what it feels like and teach us about what you need to really digest this information. Right? So anyone else have anything in their hearts to share in the name of intention before we close up tonight?
Well, I just want to say that this experience for me is really life fulfilling, because of my authentic self being the Queen of Clubs. The Queen energy is all about mothering. It's a feminine energy. It's very Cancer energy, a nurturing energy. And I, for a long time, have felt the need to serve a more broader community with this information. So thank you all for making this happen and helping me fill my soul with some really good energy.
Yeah, Donna, you, just like Rob and Gina, you had so much of it ready. That's what's so beautiful too, is when you do knock on the door and it opens and you make the exchanges, you find that in the closets and the pockets, all those things are just waiting to be used. Kind of like when you listen to your intuition and you bring what you're supposed to bring, and the next thing you know, somebody asked you for that and it's in your bag, right? As we made these packages, they're a little bit of everybody, and all the things that everybody had been wanting to bring out that they've been preparing, here it grows.
Yeah, and real quick, for those that are interested in learning about this system, and go to the website and subscribe, and you'll get a free package, and you'll be kept in touch with this group with regards to different workshops and this weekly podcast, which I believe is every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And we'll be taking some live callers on the show and like all sorts of things. So it should be a fun thing, and it's great to combine with like-minded people in a world that, so many people come to me in terms of finding their, they're trying to find their tribe, and there's many tribes out there. We're all part of many tribes, but this is certainly one that I think it's growing, and we'd love to have you all part of it. So please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. That's all I have.
Nice. Anyone else have anything before we release the piece? Well, I'm going to just say thank you in the biggest, loudest way I can to everything that helped this happen, and that more of the ecosystems come together better, and we're able to learn why we're here and who we are, and live like shinier, like stars. So thank you, each and every one of you, for sharing your gifts. And I can't wait to see how it grows. Peace to your lives. May you be happy. May you be happy.
Bye. Thank you.
See everybody.